Good morning, Heather. How you doing? How you doing today? How are you and Calvin? I know he's close by. Hope your coffee turned out all right. Peace, Robert G. How you doing, sir? So let's. I'll go ahead and start setting this up. I think I'll go ahead and get into these comments. I get a lot of comments that I don't post and I don't respond to, and sometimes I just delete them. But I am a YouTuber now, so you know it's just part of it. What's good, Calvin? How you doing, man? But I'm gonna show these comments. Calvin's about to go for a run. I'm having my coffee too and trying to read your mug backwards. Let's see if I can fix that. Now I have to use this camera over here. Let's see if thingamabob in the way. There we go. Boom. That's me mug. It's funny, I never really thought about how ugly my hands are until I was YouTubing. He was caught in beard or bread. I get that too. I definitely can't read backwards. Not even a little bit. I can read upside down though. I think most people can do that though. All right, two things I'm gonna do today is run these jewels and bead this up just because I've never done that. And I don't know if I got the right size, but they're big, so I feel like it's, more masculine. I can't seem to remember. It says good morning, and I'm saying good morning right back to you. Let's get into these comments. Let me see. I'm gonna go on my into my account on the laptop, into Studio, and then sometimes they'll let me go into the comments that I haven't responded to and just kind of bundle them all in one place. Let's just start with the last couple. Dude is. Oh, he's hating on my truck. He says, I know what's wrong with it. It's a big blow Chevy. I don't know. That's pretty weak sauce. No wonder I didn't respond to that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, in one of my knife reviews videos, JRK1MN says, knives are not for the light of gray matter. And I didn't respond to it, but then after I didn't respond to it, I don't know if he watched a couple other videos, but then he came back and started making friendly comments. And I just kind of ignored him from that point on. Okay, this is a good one. Clint Torres, 2508. This is Clint Torres. His his little icon here on his thing is John Savage. He looks like he's got a drawn on goatee, and he's got 7 subscribers, so you know he's legit. He says, I have to be the guy that mentions ethnicity. And he just got a little smiley emoji. I'm 60 years old and have been a high-end finish carpenter and woodworker for over 40 years and have only worked with 2 BLK carpenters over the years. Countless South Americans, but in my experience, it's unusual to find a black woodworker, cabinet maker who knows what they're doing. It's a good thing. Now, this is an edited video, an edited comment. Because the reason this comment is sitting there in that queue is because he said it was surprising that I was black and I knew what I was doing. And a couple other things that he said, because I looked this comment up. This is about a month ago, but it's been edited since. So I think he's trying to make nice. I'm going to like it and heart it because this is just what I got to do now. I can't be holding grudges. Now, one electrician 760 went into one of my videos and said, this is my benchtop tabletop video. And he said, don't trust a black man doing carpentry / construction. You know he's going to cut corners because he's lazy. Let's take a sip of our coffee on this lazy Sunday morning. That fella's gonna make, that's one electrician 760. Let's see if he's actually got a channel or he's just being a random popping. He's got one, no, he's got no videos. He's got 1 subscriber. So, let me go back to my chat real quick so I can see y'all. Let's go to the chat. Okay, because I can't see the chat and read the comments at the same time. People, Heather says, we see that a lot. People come into the comments and calm down after a minute and become regulars. Mister says, yo. Dad's Workshop says, let's get them. Dad's Workshop says, I call bullshit on that right now. I can't seem to remember says, my guess is that he hasn't moved or looked around much. Carter says, what's up? What's going on, man? Heather says, backhanded compliments need to be backhanded. I agree. Hey, Captain says, EXE, what's going on? How you doing? How you doing? Heather says, that's insane. I think that's what she was saying. Dad says, well, any info I'll drop is Addy. And I can't seem to remember says he needs to be forgotten about. Already kind of forgotten about. Like, this guy's got no, like, small-minded people. Like, you can't even pick the fight. The reason I even did this video is because somebody jumped on my short this morning. I woke up and they were telling me I was doing it wrong. And then I was like, how am I doing it wrong? And then they said, just popping. armchair quarterbacking, I go to his channel and he's got videos of a dog dragging a box across the floor. And that's his most watched video with like 30 watches. And I talked a little shit. And I also, I wish he had left a comment because he deleted the comment after I commented back on him. But I wish he hadn't because it was fun. So Imakachu says, have you ever turned your radio on every day at dawn? I've got no idea what that comment means. So if you do, let me know. Maybe I'm missing a reference to something clever. Let me check the chat real quick. King of the Swing says, no need to put your paws on anyone because you got your feelings hurt. King of the Swing, I don't put my paws on anyone who isn't a direct physical threat to me or somebody nearby in my direct proximity. I would never. I fought amateur for at least 20 years. I got no business. Nobody's got any business putting hands on anybody, really. Carney says, I know you can't read my comment out loud. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I must have missed it. Let me scroll up a little bit. Hey, Wes, what's up? Says Carnage. What's up, bro? Scooby says, my theory is trolls don't get enough attention at home. I ignore them. And they say the most offensive things and wait. Listen, before I had moderators on this channel, it was crazy. It was just, I didn't know about moderators, but it was crazy. My live chats they were full of children saying crazy stuff. What if we made some shorts with the screenshots, putting them on blast, might get some views? That might happen, but it also might kind of get flagged as racial stuff, and then that'll flag whoever posted it rather than the guy who actually did it. So I wouldn't want you to risk your channels over something like that. They might slow you down. Kind of the swing, but remember the compliments or trolling is still engagement. Exactly. Generally speaking, I'll engage and go back and forth with people because in my heart of hearts, I am a fighter, not a flighter. And I'm always down for the scrap, you know, even if it's a mental spar, I'm all the way with it. But I try not to bring too harsh or too negative an energy to my channel. King of the Swing says, I'm a carpenter. Life is great. Yes, sir. Sadhuks have received spiritual experiences, bliss by taking initiation from something, 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 something through meditation. For information on this, search something, 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 something. It's free. Okay. Thanks, Saraf. Says, nice cup. Appreciate it. Dad says, because you're so chill, King, right? Heather says, obviously we appreciate supporting your hate, but you're good. Want to drop your company? You got advice for folks? Says Dads. And Boofy says, Christ is King, and some stuff like that. Oh, King of the Swing are having some beef with the old Heather B and Calvin. I don't know if I'm gonna let y'all handle that yourselves because there's plenty of intellect over there, buddy. I don't know if you want to do that, but y'all be, do what you got to do. will warn you though. I got some thugs in the chat. Y'all come in here and start getting crazy. Everybody in here with a wrench is family. They will handle it. All right. Back to the hatred over here. Let's see. How I built my first cane, part 1. I got a comment on that that says, wait, you're black and you're a maker, a dad, and you know your dad and your wife's dad? That is the culture that should always be promoted. No matter of your color. He spelled color COLOUR. Keep it at keep at it. New sub, because I ain't subbing bad culture. Oh, that is the most backhanded fuck shittery I have ever heard in my African American life. Now listen, I don't think I've ever seen anybody ever comment on a Euro American's video and say, it's amazing that you have and care for your family and know them. And generally, to people who believe that is the most common narrative, generally don't actually have in-person brown friends. Because I'm not an anomaly in my area, nor where I'm from. The interesting thing is, I think he's simply trying to say that because I haven't come from a broken home and my wife doesn't come from a broken home, congratulations to me, because I should be from that. And at the same time, condemning that, as if to say that people who decide not to be together for whatever reason are bad culture. And if that's the case, hold on. I hit my phone on accident. I am exactly who he's condemning. Statistically, though it never was my intention, this is my third wife. This is my third marriage. And I've got 5 children total. 3 that are naturally mine and my wife's 2 kids that she came with. And my 2 boys are by my second wife. My daughter's by my first wife. So I got baby mamas and the whole thing. So the compliment doesn't even work on me. Doesn't even work. But it's weird to throw that kind of. This is J Bro. So wild. All right, let me jump over here and see what y'all are saying about J Ro's wonderful comment. What up, Carnage? Carnage saying, what's up? Scooby Doob is in here. What's going on, Scooby? Dad says, I'm heated. Oh, don't be heated, man. Don't. Carnage says, don't mess with Wes. You get beat Carnage style. Heather says, I'm great. I love it. That's what's up. Yeah, man. Don't let none of this stuff hype y'all up. We already know we're holding it down over here. Okay. Sorry I wasn't here for the last few streams, says Ian. Well, I'm glad you're here now, buddy. I appreciate you showing up. Carnage says, what's up? Scoob, I came across the Pong. Racism should be kept on track and where the ignorance comes from for data. King of the Swing, oh my God, come on back. Oh, Calvin must have ran him out of here. You can't mess around with the fam over here, son. You are loved and needed in this world. Keep on, good sir, says Wesley Reith. Listen, when a Wesley speaks, that's when I listen. I shut my mouth and I listen. Sean says, glad you didn't take that BS. Heather's laughing at fuck shittery. Where's my pal, says Heather. I'm trying to get his company paid some FaceTime. I'm here to help. Right, so it's English European racism is so subtle, says Calvin. I hate to say it, Wes, says Carnage. Wait, my chat's moving so fast. But white people are more deadbeat dads than anything. I truly and genuinely believe some things statistics have very little to do with. I think there are scenarios and circumstances and individuals and a mountain of variables in each and every situation with a world full of independently unique individuals. How could you decide off of one blip of information what type of person you're dealing with? That is the reason for all the stats in the first place. So you can make a judgment in the split second that you meet somebody because you've got information on them, which is a stupid thing. Ian says, God says, let us create man in his own image. The only controversial part about that statement, Ian, I would say, is that his part could be her. I mean, let's be real. If God had a penis, that might not be the best thing. I mean, that's probably the biggest problem in my life. King of the Swing as a child, Fortnite videos. Come on, embarrassing yourself here. They are at this guy. Carnage says, no wonder why you're bald. You must be pulled your hair out because of how many kids you got. Listen, I lost a strand the day my daughter was born, and they ain't came back since. Everyone that jumped ship is gone forever. Carnage is hilarious. Heather says, as someone from a broken home, the preemptive judgment is weird as fuck to put someone else, haha, things you can't help, didn't hold you back. F with me. Absolutely, Heather. Absolutely. Scoob says, hi, Wes. What's going on? TJ says, good morning, Wes. Mr. says, great truth, Wes. Scooby says, right on, Wes. And Carnage says, that's why I got gray in my hair. My job and my kid drive me freaking at it. Habit. Yo. I wouldn't be anything valuable without my family, I promise you. Oh. They are 100% the motivation for almost everything. I mean, I do love me too. Let's see. What's the next comment? Let's see. What we got left? Because some of these I do respond to. Evil Angelicist says, buy a Kershaw and you'll love it forever. He's got to have said something else. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ignored these two comments. Let me see what this person has the history of on my channel. Oh, they popped off on something else, called me stupid, I think. And then I started ignoring them after that. Diamond Supply said on one of my tile videos, cobblestone is smoother. Jesus, buddy, get some tile clips. I don't know how he got to that conclusion, but there's a lot of people that tend to do that. Like they'll just come on and tell me I'm doing it wrong, uh, and then run away. Now that's all that I got that I haven't responded to. So let's get back out of the studio. And anybody else who had a dumb, hateful comment, but if they did it, like I don't mind the criticism of the work. Y'all know me. If I'm doing something wrong, y'all jump in all the time and say, hey man, you can do it this way and that'll be better. And I make the adjustment because I trust people who are doing the thing. I don't trust people who are just on the internet looking for invasive attention off of the back of somebody who's actually doing something. And to y'all, I welcome you because I will handle you in the comment section. I am notoriously down for embarrassing you. Nobody who trolls is going to be smarter than me. I'll just say that, plain and simple. Nobody who's trolling the internet is going to be smarter than I am. So I welcome your foolishness so that I can humiliate you publicly. Because the best defense you got is you can delete the entire, you can delete your part of the comment. And if you started it, that pretty much pulls the whole thing. But if you're dumb enough to try it and leave it there, we can go back and forth all day. It helps my algorithm. And I'm going to win. I say that with the kind of confidence I'm saying it with. Not because I'm super smart, but I can count to 10. And anybody trolling the internet to talk trash probably ain't that bright yet. Or it's going to be a bunch of 13-year-olds and, and shame on your parents. But I will humiliate your ass too. Now, let's get to this soft-ass woodworking. In my experiments in trying to make these necklaces for my daughters who have birthdays 2 days apart from one another, I bought all this stuff, or some of this stuff, and I got fascinated with it. I really like it. And it's a little embarrassing because, I really intended to go the way of the axe for my next purchase. I want a good chopping axe for woodworking and then chop down some raw wood, stuff like that, and make hammers and mallets and stuff. But somehow I got into that. And I've got a ton of ideas for that kind of thing. So I bought a couple of these accessories so that I can make more stuff. And I figured, let's go ahead and finish this piece, make a little necklace out of it, and see. And I apologize for my continent of choice. But you can make any continent that you want on your necklace. You know what I'm saying? Calvin, this is that knife I was talking about, by the way. It's $4. This might have came off Temu, actually. When I very first started woodworking, my first rule was, I'm not buying anything over 10 bucks. And I got this, and I got my little honing guide. And that was $3. But Temu starts making you play a video game and go through all kinds of loops and stuff so I just can't do it. I had to delete it off my phone. It was too much hassle. It's just me and Amazon now. What up, Mike? Dang it, Mike. I'm sorry, bro. I haven't been ignoring the chat. I had my other screen up that was reading my awful comments from very interesting people. But I certainly don't want to ignore the people in my chat. Certainly not the people who have consistently helped my channel. And Mike is one of those people. If you have not seen it, Mike's channel, go over there and holler at him and tell him Wes loves him. I got this from Mike today in the mail. Send me a microphone. I obviously need this. I've got a low voice in almost all the ways that a voice can be low. But muchas gracias, Mike. I got your gift. I appreciate it a whole lot. Let me go back up and see his comments. That chat is moving much faster than it usually does. Let's see. Calvin says there are deadbeats from every race. Amen. Okay, Mike says, figures I come in blasting and get censored from the jump. Square up, punks. Y'all ain't about that life. Karna says, friends are here for a while, family's here for life. Mike is making stuff. YouTube watches you like a hawk, he says. Andrew likes my cup, and I thank you for being here, Andrew. And then Mike says, you all right, Mike? And says, who censored you? Mike says, I'm hot, man. Don't come at my boy like that. You can get socked up. Mike says, whoever it is. Carnage says, if you come in here and mess with Wes, you get the term meck around and find out. Bam. Y'all are harsh in here. I love it. Harvey says, hi. What's going on, Harvey? How are you? Dad says, a psycho that I want them here to harass them. Calvin, I am 100% with you on that. That, my man, we the same kind of animal, bro. Heather says, this is the West show and here because the West fans, anyone else can be lost. Facts. Andrew says, bro, your beard shape is just like mine. Hey, that's what's up. We got our game together over here. Constructive criticism does not equal criticism. Absolutely. Carnage says, no, it's a Psycho Dad's workshop. You just woke up and chose violence today. This is true. Bruce Wayne the Gray, cheers to you. Thanks for coming in. Kind of choice for me based on history, says Calvin. Are you trolls better now? Bow down to King West, says Carnage. Bruce says howdy. All hail the king, says Carnage. Heather says it's a real household. For sure it is. It's a fiery household. Yeah, that too. Leave all those comments up. I guess I'm just gonna say morning West. I don't think he sees what I type. I don't know. I'm sorry, Mike. I gotta get after. I gotta get after shooting this video anyway. Y'all be good. Oh man, I miss Mike. I hope I didn't hurt him. Carnage says he's just reading the mic. He's dealing with trolls. TJ says, speaking of algorithms, 31 watching and 12 likes. Hit the like button and let's help Wes out. Let's show him some love. Appreciate that. And Calvin's campaigning for me to let Mike know we don't forget about him. Andrew says he loves the suspenders, and I appreciate that. Salute to you. And Boston says, what's up, Wes? How you doing, brother? What's going on, man? How are you? I'm good. I am good. George Thomas says, what am I making? I am putting some beads on this pendant that I made. And we're just going to make a whole necklace out of it. This is the first time. I don't even know how to tie these knots, but I'm going to try. Mike says, okay, I needed to take a damn lap. Well, welcome back, Mike. He's working on a charm, I think, but now reading the troll comments, says Calvin. Mike says, no, I'm good. I couldn't even focus on the damn video because I wish an MF would come up to my channel and try that. Act up and get clapped up. It'll happen. Like, ain't no doubt about it. They're going to go after what's the easiest thing to go after, which is going to be the most obvious thing, I would imagine. There was one guy who, I left his comment up, and somewhere on one of my videos, on one of my shorts, he's like, look at you sitting there with those dumb suspenders, goofy. Like, that's all it was. He just called my suspenders dumb. And just kept, and we went back and forth a couple of times. It was funny, though, to me. I should put together a clip of my most enjoyable little internet scraps. Just get me a whole reality TV segment going over here. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we just talking. I ain't gonna bust a grape. Let's see where we at in this chat. Heather says, I do love that. And Just Me says, morning West, don't let the trolls get you. You're a great creator, plus some of the best dad jokes I've heard in a minute. That's funny. I'm glad. I'm proud to be known for the dad jokes. Heather says, people are jealous as hell. I think that's it, Heather, sometimes. I think people just get frustrated that they don't have or they're not where they think they should be. And that's usually from being lost or distracted by looking at somebody else. And then they come look at somebody else and get more angry about it. Carney says, I have someone call me a lame F word and my video sucked. If it was the worst mistake he ever made, I tore him a new hole. Right on, Carnage. I don't know why they come over to a knife sharpener's video. Like, that'd be the craziest thing ever. Maybe it's because you're Canadian and they know your country won't let you be as dumb as ours will let us be. Mike says, I know what happened yesterday. Someone gave my silly ass a laser. TJ says, Mike is making stuff is always going to be idiots out there and get their kicks, knocking others down. All they can do is focus on the good and build each other up. Absolutely. Mr. says, Wes, you're a great artist, teacher, great wisdom, and give videos are both peaceful and enlightening. Just keep doing you, Wes. Your show and style is awesome. Man, Mister, that's a whole lot of nice stuff to say. I am moved by it. Genuinely. Heather says, a green one. I'm not sure what you mean, Heather. A green what? Mike says, I don't know. I'm colorblind. I know this. I know it burns stuff. And Heather says, if they're uncomfortable being themselves, they get triggered when they see someone being happy and comfortable in themselves. This is fact. So the only thing that someone who is not on the ladder can do is try to knock you off the perch. They can't get on the ladder themselves. They don't have what it takes, says Calvin. Absolutely. And I think it goes back to that jealousy thing. Like, everybody's not built for everything. And sometimes people want to do something that they are not built for. And they take it as hate when someone says, hey, that may not be the best path for you, because it's generally people say that when it's obvious, but sometimes you know you're the exception and you can move past it. Sometimes you're not the exception because you can't move past it. Heather says, I just meant I appreciate your anger. It seems validated here. We're all going off before. Yeah, for sure. for sure. Carnage says people just like to start, and yeah, I'm the wrong person to start it with. My name is Carnage Bladesmith. I got 56 knives and 3 BBs and a hatchet saws. Calvin says they got one rock and you're up there and they hate it. Isn't that weird? And I'm very middle American. I'm very middle of the road. I am. I just don't get why somebody would be get it. I do get it. I was a child once. It's just hard to remember back far enough when somebody else doing something that had nothing to do with me bothered me. Because truthfully, I know that nobody in these comments would be saying something like that knows me. They don't. Obviously, they don't know me. And I think it's wild to take too much offense about an uneducated opinion. It's like somebody just walks up and says, "The sky is yellow," and you're like, "No, it's blue." And they go, "It's yellow, idiot." Like, how you gonna win that argument? You know what I mean? Like, some people are on such a different wave. They can't see your colors. You know what I'm saying? And the best way to deal with that, it's like there's a thing in Greco-Roman wrestling where you put pressure on your opponent and you give them about 75% of your actual power, but you give them all 75%. And most idiots will then respond to your 75% because they'll think you're giving it your all, and they'll give you everything. Full barrels, guns blazing, they'll give you all of their force. And then you take one step back, one step to the side, and deliver all of their force past you. And you give them a sandwich on the way by. And that's kind of what you do here. I like people to have momentum and aggression because it'll drive my algorithm. But I'll also use it against them and bounce them off the pavement. I always used to say, I used to play, didn't used to play. I play pool and I'm pretty good at it. I don't usually say I'm good at stuff, but I am pretty good at pool. And there's some bars that I would shoot at where people would bring people over to play against me and go, "Yeah, you can be him, man. All you do is such. All you can do is such and such." And they're lining up at the table to play me, all saying how terrible I am at playing pool. And then one day I decided to not be as humble as I usually try to be. And I said, well, if we are talking about winners and losers here, right? Everybody seems to be following somebody here. And the person that's being followed is rarely the loser in the scenario. Rarely. Dad's Workshop says, read them. Carter says, some people validate themselves by hating others. It's an effed up world. Isabel Whitney says, hi. Hi, I hope you didn't walk into such a savage circumstance and feel that Western Spot is a place of violence. I'm just blowing off steam on an early Sunday morning. Carnage, I don't think it's a messed up world. I just think there are people and situations and circumstances that are not in your favor, right? And that's the amazing thing about us having choice and free will, is that we can ignore the things and the people who don't serve that for us. And we don't even have to bother to think about why they should be different or why they shouldn't be different. We can just flip our energy and send it somewhere where we want it to be. And then that will enhance our lives as opposed to frustrate us with the stupidity of somebody else's life. And I even hesitate to say stupidity, but it's certain ignorance about our lives they must have if they're in conflict with us, right? So, I don't know. I spent a lot of my life learning how to be a dangerous person. And all of that is it didn't take a rocket science to figure out that I'm a short, small human in stature. And that's what it was based in from being a little bitty kid. But to learn to fight on a high level is to learn from masters. And to learn anything on a high level is to learn discipline. And by the time you get good enough to be in the 1% of people who can do that, you're nowhere near the mind frame that you're willing to do. I'm looking for my snips, everybody, if you're wondering why I'm obsessively walking around. But anyways, oh yeah, I forgot I ain't got no microphone. Y'all probably heard like a quarter of that. Mike says, I know you got to deal with it like me and we're used to it, but I don't mean I ain't going to be there when it's needed. When it's time to ride, I got one question. Whose truck are we taking? Okay, I'm done. Mike talking like Tupac over there. Carter says, no matter what anyone says, I think you do amazing videos and you're a great person. You have a big heart, and who gives a boop boop what anyone thinks. Thanks, Carnage. I appreciate that too, bro. Dad says, I was just telling Heather, slight guys gotta fight. And Carnage says, yeah, I trained for a long time at martial arts and boxing. I know what you mean, brother. Discipline and respect, for sure. Big guys get away with being weak a lot. Yeah, absolutely, Calvin. Absolutely. It's there's a defense mechanism to that, to being large and overweight. Like, that is subconsciously your body trying to protect you. Deep down inside, you think the bigger you are, the safer you'll be. And people who get obese typically are very insecure. And it's not because they're obese because they're insecure. Human beings that don't take care of their physical bodies are going to be more prone to depression and other things. Man, I'm gonna come on here and start fat shaming? Jesus. I'm sorry. It's not what I was doing. But I gotta counter this soft woodworking I'm having to do right now. You see me using rusty pliers for it so I can look like a man. It's so I can feel like I'm a man doing man stuff. Ugh. Yeah. Heavy sounds. Ugh. Carney says, see, that's the thing. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but no matter how big you are, your determination and will to fight to survive. Calvin says, people see they're big, leave them alone. 100%. 100%. There's a great advantage psychologically, though, to knowing that if there was a physical confrontation, you'd likely win it. That keeps you from being afraid of the physical confrontation, which keeps you from being bashful when someone is being aggressive. And that is very disarming to someone who does have aggressive energy and is used to getting by on that. Carnage says, my is not afraid of anyone, and no matter how big you are, even if I don't win the fight, I'm still. Whew, holy smokes. I am afraid in every fight I've ever been in. That's probably why I've won every fight I've ever been in. I am mortified, terrified. The idea of somebody beating me up keeps me up at night. And I don't know if I'm even, like in sport, in combat sport, I've definitely lost wrestling matches. But somebody walking the earth saying, yeah, I beat the out of that dude West, blows my mind. I don't know how I would handle it. As a 52-year-old, I just have to, but it would hurt. I'm sure it would hurt my heart. Mike says, I've been on both sides of that. Growing up as a scrawny kid, then packing it on to 6 foot and 210. While I was in the Army, it's easier for a bigger guy to lean on the fact that people are scared because you're big. Yeah. Heather says, very true, Wes. Same goes for women. The aim is basically to be invisible. Subconscious defense mechanism. That's a good perspective. I'm glad you're here, Heather. Calvin says, I hit a heavy bag every day for years. I walked around like F around and find out. Yeah. I mean, once you got your mechanic sound, I mean, impact. You gotta have something under your belt. Carnage says, see, that's the thing. I've never lost a fight. I've always been that guy who knows where to hit. And I'm not saying I could ever lose a fight, but I've never lost yet. And I've been in over 300 fights. All right. So now you've been in 300 fights. That did you fight competitively? Like, I've been in easily that many fights, but it was always like structured in some way. It's MMA or a particular discipline has always for me been MMA because I don't have a martial arts discipline except for jiu-jitsu. And I wasn't high level with it, but I was with the MMA. There's a little bit of boxing, a whole lot of grappling. But if you've been in 300 street fights, bro, you might need to calm it down. It makes you a menace. That's a lot of fights. That is no coincidental thing. I was in a bunch of fights as a kid, but I was a menace as a kid, and admittedly so. Heather says, Calvin is still in the chat from his run. How are you typing with sweaty hands? Calvin says it hardens the soft tissue and deadens the nerves. Yeah, you know, in Muay Thai, those guys will hit stuff and just crack these little bones and make all of this stuff brittle, all of this stuff, the shins, the elbows, and all of it just start building and fixing those little small hairline fractures, and the bones get stronger, and it's a wild thing how you can condition your body for that stuff. Cardin says, yeah, I was a competition boxer. I did semi-pro amateur boxing. Blaze Smith got CTE. Carnage, that's what's up, man. Shit, Mike says, I learned from the ass whippings I took than I did winning. Bouncing at the bar, I learned about 1,000 ways someone gonna come at you from the blind side. Oh man, I couldn't imagine, Mike, having to deal with drunk fights all day. Jeez, what? Mm-mm. Oh, thank you. But in all fairness, a drunk guy is easy to beat. A drunk guy's got no chance against a sober guy who knows anything. Ryan, what's going on? We ain't here talking about fighting. What's going on? We're doing soft woodwork and hard conversations. We have run the gambit today. It's a testosterone thick chat today, for sure. Got Blaze Smiths in here, boxers in here. Calvin says, I've lost a few, but the wins were amazing. I'm telling you. Like Calvin, man, if you've been hitting the bag and you got the kind of win that it takes to be a runner, most people, even people who think they can fight, ain't got but 90 seconds in them. They're going to burn out. All you got to do is avoid that big shot for a minute and a half. And it's all downhill from there. Connor says, I've had people try to sucker punch me, but I've got a fast head and I know how to move. My coach at some Fiji, I did a little bit of Muay Thai. Muay Thai is if you had to learn one thing and you are a striker, Muay Thai is the way to go. For sure. I know Muay Thai guys kick your legs out from under. It don't matter what you know. If you don't know how to stop that leg or get out the way, you're going to fall down 10 times before you land anything. Carter says, I did Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, and learned a bit of Kung Fu plus boxing. I was in a town where he did sports or he did drugs, and I chose sports. Sounds like you chose the right way. No wonder me and you, Carnage, vibe, man. You're a little bit of a lunatic, too. Both me and you hitting the head a few times too many. Fortunately, the thing I did least was boxing. I learned mechanics of boxing, how to fight that way, but I did not spar a lot. And when I did, I was pretty good at not getting hit. But shots to the head, like I teach my sons how to box. I don't let them hit each other. I don't let them get hit. Them shots to the head will accumulate and make you a different person over time if you're not careful. Calvin says, I don't have a bag anymore. Oh, man. Seemed like you get something out of it. I had a little bag time. I missed it, but I kind of get by on my push-ups and my drills and stuff like that. But you run, so that's probably the replacement for you. Plus that bag get hard on the joints after a certain age. Carter says it's even worse when you got to do 12 rounds, 5 minutes, beating the piss out of each other. I would imagine. Calvin says frown shin to shin. Yeah, that's tough. Carter says great minds think. Good morning, Wes. How you doing? Says Violin Royalty. Give it up. What's up, champ? We're good, man. We're here talking violence and dainty woodworking today. It's been a good chat. My type of vibe. Carney says, I've had my bell rung a couple times, but I always got back up. Right on, right on. I don't think I've been in with a few pro boxers, but they were low level pro boxers. They weren't anybody you would have saw on HBO back in the day. And I did good. But again, I was more interested in the survivalist aspect of fighting. I didn't care about the disciplines as much as I cared about how to learn a new way to do a thing. I love the fact that I control my own body. And that's really all it ever is. It's just you controlling your own body and being satisfied in it doing what you're asking it to do. And in some cases, doing it before you ask it. And I think we all love that as humans. That's why we admire athletes so much, I think. That's why I admire them. My favorite training device on boxing was a speed bag in my head, so I was quick to use it for hours straight. That's what Carney says. That's a brilliant thing. I'm not good at a speed bag. I look like a total amateur on those things. Mike said it's the moments of drunken stupidity. I saw a dude having Hellcat changing a tire. Went over to help. He was trying to show off for his girlfriend and jabbed the tire iron right through my diaphragm. LOL. What are you talking about, Mike? That's crazy. Heather says, Calvin's big on protecting from head injuries too, so green flag for both of you. LOL. Calvin says, I do push-ups now. Now I'm soft. Oh, you are definitely not soft. I can tell. You wear those flowery shirts, but there's a man under there. God dang it. Mike, that sounds terrible. Mike says, that's why I always, Carney says, that's why I always carry something on me. I don't trust anyone. Mike says, never thought I was going to catch a Vlad the Impaler. All good. Heather says, you didn't need that diaphragm for anything important. That's right, Mike. Probably had 7 or 8 diaphragms back at the van down by the river. Carney says, the thing is, my job is a lot like martial arts, sanding, doing the movement, punching while you're coding with a trowel. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of that Tai Chi-ish movement in drywall. There's a lot of side to side. There's a lot of up and down. And you just got to be a man to grab drywall and throw it around. Calvin says, I once hit Mike Tyson's speed bag. Oh, yeah? How'd you do, Cal? Heather says, Calvin's style, say something. I know what that is. I know what that is. Calvin's style is similar to mine. Calvin is, and I'm definitely making some assumptions here, right? So don't get mad at me, Calvin. Calvin is kind of a man's man, as far as I can tell. And us type of guys, and I'm lumping myself in here with you and crediting myself with stuff too while I'm doing this, Calvin. But you kind of got to have something to soften it a little bit, because it makes you a little bit more approachable, and it's a little more common, and it's a little bit contrasting to, you know, the internet is not super huge on confident men who also have a certain natural aggression about them. And it's good to have something that lets the layperson, so to speak, find some comfort in it. You know what I'm saying? Can't all be out here wearing wife beaters and tattoos and shit. Calvin, Nikki New, what's good, Nikki? Calvin says Howard University Gym, 2003, just after his weigh-in. Word, man, 2003 seems so not far away. Jesus, that's 20 years. Eesh. Hey Carnage, hey Nikki, says Mike. Carnage Bladesmith says my style at boxing, I trained at Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. I put both styles together as a rope fighter and a hammer fist. That's what's up. Heather says Very should do a collab. Just saying. What you mean? What you mean? Any news about Miss Pilato's liver transplant? Nikki knew the other day when I was doing a live, he came in and said everything at that point had worked out well, and the doctor gave him all the good news, but he had not seen her yet himself. I don't know beyond that, and that was I want to say 2 days ago. It was either Friday or Saturday. It could have been yesterday, but I think it was whatever day was the day of. Heather B gives us some info. Mike says smooth out after that. I think it was a kidney, but her 6th organ transplant, which is a lot. Violent Royalty says, Wes, you're a man, you are a type of fix cars and do man stuff, but your daughter asked you to do a tea party, you would. Dad and men need to be more flexible. Bro, listen. I'm going to reveal some more stuff about my life here, but here we go. My daughter's mother and I decided not to be together as a very smart decision. We had just simply outgrown each other. And because the goal was for her to be a stay-at-home mom for the first 4 years of my daughter's life, she had done just that, and thus had not finished college, did not have a way to have a reasonable enough income to be on her own, because we got together when she was 20 and I was 21. And what we ended up doing was just splitting, and I financed her life for the next year and a half, or co-financed it, so that she would be all right and get on her feet. And because I had the income at the time, I said, I'll take the kid and you finish school, college, and once you're done with your degree, you get your place, come get the kid. But you know how life happens. Let me see if I can hit that button. All right. But you know how life happens, and I basically raised the kid the whole way. And she wasn't on crack or anything weird. She just never got to that bread. And always, had kind of roommate situations and whatnot. And I'm an easy parent to co-parent with. I take it all. I'll do whatever. I'll do all of it. So I did all of it. And that kid made me learn how to be a gentleman, which is different than being a gentleman. And haven't really looked back since. I'll tell you in an interesting moment, I'll tell you the one moment that it actually intentionally, purposefully did it, right? We had been playing soccer. I was teaching her how to play soccer, and she was 5 years old. and we got into the YMCA league. And every day after school, she's in kindergarten, we're out at the field kicking that soccer ball. Uphill, downhill, left foot only, right foot. And she's getting good at it for a little kid, right? And I say to her, that's your ball. Every time you see that ball near you, that's your ball. You dominate. You take that ball, you win, right? I had only learned sports through combat sports, through wrestling, through jujitsu, through boxing, through weightlifting. And all of those are very testosterone based things. Like you got to get hyped up to go perform. And so that's how I was teaching my little girl who has next to no testosterone. And her very first game, she's out on the field. And they're all out there in their little pink shoes. And that referee drops the ball down in front of those kids. And there's two girls over there, and there's our two girls over here. My daughter's one of them, and they're all standing there staring at the ball. And they look at the ball, and they look at each other. They look at the ball, they look at each other, they look at the ball. And I'm over on the side talking like I've been talking to her for a month with no issue. And I go, you get that ball. That's your ball. You got that ball. That's your ball. And this little girl is like this tall with the pink shoes and ponytails, big bows in it. And she takes her hands and slowly brings them up and covers her face and then crouches down into a ball in the middle of the field with felt like 1,000,000 people watching. And I panic and I go, no, 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 it's fine, it's good, you're doing great. And I learned a valuable lesson that day, and I had to do a complete 180 on what it was to be a supportive parent for a kid, which is completely different than being a high performance coach to a boy who's going out to get punched in the face. It was so scary. That's probably the scariest thing I ever saw, was that my kid slowly crumbling into a little ball. But after that, I ran out there on the field, and I'm like, "Oh, you're good." I picked her up and ran off the field with her, and I'm like, "You're fine. You're doing good." And I was all encouragement from then on. She ended up playing probably 16 seasons of soccer, some split seasons and indoor leagues, all kinds of stuff. Anyways, she coaches kids now in soccer. Heather says, that's a big one, Wes. That's real big. Daughters teach you. Oh, man, 100%. They're different than boys. They're different. And, and even speaking to what we were talking about earlier, is that everybody's different. So it's important to just tune into the individual rather than trying to impose your idea of what something should be on them. You know what I mean? I have a tiny little pair of needle nose pliers around here somewhere that I have mislocated. Anyway, what y'all think of the necklace? Is that doing something or no? Wait, this way. I like it. I like it. I think I can do something with that. Well, I think those pliers are probably in the truck in a toolbox somewhere, maybe my electrical box. And maybe I'll go wake the rest of my family up and make them breakfast or something, because I think I hear feet walking around up there. We had a good time yesterday. We had a little family night with the kids. Calvin says, I love that man. Violin Royal says, loves the necklace. Heather says she loves the necklace. Nikki New says, beautiful. Love that. Thank you all so much. Violin Royalty says, you raised your daughter tough, but that day she was the ball. You're absolutely right. Nikki says that story was so real. It's crazy. It was a blast. Like it was an important lesson to learn for sure. At least you were nice to your kid about it, Wes. In my sport with my dad yelled at me and told me I wasn't doing it right. Kind of broke me a little bit. That's why I'm so hard. Oh man. Calvin says I was thinking that hemp or the other charm. Oh, this one right here. I can rock with that too. That's not bad either, all right. Like if that were the thing. Let's see. I'm not sticking it to, but you see what I'm doing. That wouldn't be bad. But we grew up in a day and age where even our coaches yelled at us. Violin says, did I ever ask her what happened that day? Oh, it was her first game. She was just stage fright. It's just scared little girl. Um, but she got better. Carmen says, we grew up in a day and age where our coaches yelled at us. Here's a wild story. Like, I had two coaches in high school, and my coach happened to be the football coach. They were football coaches and the wrestling coaches. That's how he found me. As I was trying out for football, and he says, you're too small, but you're super strong. You should be a wrestler. Get off my field. That same coach who passed away just a couple years ago, gentle giant, Jim Coggins. Um, I am so grateful for that man. I had next to no relationship with my dad. He was in the house for sure. He wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't anything but a guy who grew up hard with a kind of an awful dad and a tough mom who had to deal with an awful husband. And that makes a person hard. And my dad only knew how to raise a boy hard because that's the only boys that were on that side of the family. So I've learned to be pretty tough pretty early. And me and my father never taught me anything other than go to work and come home. He did that. He came to work. He went to work and came home. But he lived a tough life. So I don't blame him for it, but he was really hard on me. He was really hard on me. And when I got to wrestling, it was mostly because I was still in the frame of mind that I wanted to learn how to fight in every way that there was to fight. Because the day I decide that I'm going to beat my dad up, I want to win. And my dad had RP, retinal pulmonitis, aka tunnel vision. Your vision gets smaller and smaller. You lose your peripheral, and then your line of sight gets smaller and smaller until it's gone completely. And so that was happening to my father also throughout the course of his life. So by the time I could actually fight, my father was a blind man and much gentler. But now I got all this energy. I end up on a football field that ends up on a wrestling mat. And our coaches, Coach Jim, had an assistant coach who was a fireman, who was a veteran, who was a tough, hard dude, who naturally I related to more because he was so aggressive. And we would get ready for a match, and we'd be standing on the edge of the mat, and you're bouncing, and you're warming up, and you're slapping your legs, and you're beating your chest, and you're getting ready. And that coach is behind you with his hands on your shoulders going, you go out there and you dominate this kid. This mother doesn't belong to the same mat as you. You go out there, you smash him, you humiliate him in front of his family, you get him the fuck out of there, and you walk off that mat like the G you are, because he don't deserve to be out there with you. And this gets your juices like, ugh. And I'm getting ready and I'm going out there and I got my feet planted. And Coach Jim, who's like a bear, walks up behind you and puts his hand on your shoulder. And it's like it covers your whole shoulder. And he goes, Wish, go out there and have fun. Nobody's going to remember this tomorrow. You got it, buddy. Pop you on the butt. It's a complete opposite energy. But it puts you back into the mind of this is sport. Focus on sport. Right? Takes you out of emotion. Because emotion is where you're letting your body do everything and you're not thinking through anything. And it was exactly the right thing to teach a kid like me. And he was my coach for 4 years. I went to college because of that guy, that man. And his wife was my art teacher who exposed me to every kind of art I could get my hands on. I did pottery. I did everything but woodworking. I never did woodworking as a kid. I did pottery. I did carving. I've carved into granite. I never did wood. Anyways, salute to Jim Coggins. Taught me to be a different kind of man. Oh, I feel like story time with Wes this morning. All right. Let me go do dad shit. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. This was a fun live. I appreciate all of you. Especially Calvin and the wife for hanging out. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Carnage, for coming out. Violin Royalty is always royalty over here. A great person to have on the channel. And I hope y'all had a good time, man. I hope I didn't miss any of your comments. Oh, wait, let me go back real quick. Nikki New says, my dad used to yell at me when I took fishing to violin. I have a vivid memories of that. Violin Royalty says, my dad took me fishing and yelled at me, so I threw the pole in the water and was going to push him in the water too. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, man. What's interesting, as an old guy now at 52, most dads were barely kids themselves when we were kids. Like my father was, him and my mom got married at 18 and 19. And by the time I was born, when they were 22, 23, they didn't know shit yet. They did a good job, I think. But they didn't know shit yet. Calvin says, our coaches used to hit us. Yeah, I've seen that too. Heather says, that's why my dad is blocked. I suggest those you would benefit, meant with love. Yeah, capital punishment is not discipline. It's not. It can make you disciplined, but in the worst way. Violence says, my dad was tough on me and knew it was to fight and make me tough, but never put hands on my father. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad I didn't. We would have regretted that so much. We would have regretted that so much. Heather says, just remember the choice to not grow, change, evolve, learn is is in fact a choice. Yeah. Guy's Workshop says, bless his heart. We love you, Wes. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hope you have a great day, Wes. Hope you have a great time with your family. Beautiful Sunday. Much love, brother. Stop talking. You have to go cook for your family. You so right. I'm gonna get out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. Big love to the chat. Big love to the whole squad. Thanks for signing up. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. And all 12 of you that are here are family. Peace. Have a good one. Happy Sunday.